Hello everyone, I'm Tracy and thank you for tuning in today. So I just got back from Maui, so I have a lot of great information, footage, and insight that I want to share with you guys. I'm going to release it by topic so that it's not, the video isn't too long, it's not too much information at once. And today is going to be focused around an interview that I did with this amazing woman named Sheila Walker. Before I get started, I did want to just do a little refresher on the First Amendment. So if you are in America, you have the right to there are 5 parts of the First Amendment. And just in a nutshell, the 5 parts are the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, the freedom to assemble, the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances, and the right to religion. So I know most of you guys are very well informed, but we're going to be talking about things that are a direct violation of the First Amendment rights that we all have. So the overall feeling I got when I went into Lahaina, and the city is on a kind of unofficial media blackout. So there are barricades, there are law enforcement preventing people from stopping on the highway. And the hubs that I visited 4 in Lahaina, 4, maybe 5. 5 I just kind of saw from the outside, but the 4 that I saw were community-based. Volunteers and donations are what keep these hubs together. They all have a no camera, no media rule, so I couldn't film in any of these. Some of them were different. Some people were more open and friendly and some were less so. But for the most part, no one wanted to talk, on the record. Once they found out I was doing research, I was, pretty much ignored. But anyhow, the overall feel that I got is that the people that are getting resources, they're not really looking for attention. They don't really want to talk to anyone. They're probably just so mentally, physically occupied with their situation, and so I understand. And I think another part of that is that early on, people went in there with cameras and filmed and released information and footage without their permission. And on top of that, there is a rule, the mayor put out a rule that he didn't want people in Lahaina to speak to the press. So another violation. So I was able to get so this interview that I have with Sheila was done in Kihei, so it wasn't in that area. But the overall, feedback that I got from people that I spoke to, there weren't that many, but the conversations I did have, the overall consensus is that this fire was started by power lines that were downed by the winds, by the hurricane winds, and the lack of infrastructure and preparedness by the government is what allowed this horrible tragedy to happen. Aside from Sheila and the people that I already knew, that is the feedback that I got. So for the most part, I would say the residents of Maui are believing the mainstream narrative. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm not speaking for everyone, just the people that I spoke to. That is the response that I got. So I'll let you hear the interview, and I just wanted to thank Sheila. She's being so brave by coming on the record and voicing her opinions. She's not afraid to speak her mind and tell everyone exactly how she feels, and she'll explain why that is. And I was just so happy to know that there is someone out there that has this mindset that's also willing to put themselves out and run for a political office. Now, her position would be a state senator in the Lahaina area. It covers other areas as well, and she has one main competitor who is the incumbent. So I hope you guys enjoy this video that I did with Sheila. This is Sheila Walker. Are you getting this right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It's on.
So tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are,
what you stand for.
Thanks, Tracy. I'm Sheila Walker. I'm a candidate for state senate here in Maui. I'm District 6. I ran in 22, and I had over 30% of the vote. Angus McKelvey did win that race, but I will run again in 24, and Angus is not doing enough right now to stand up for Lahaina, and that's our district, and we need to speak out more and help the people of Lahaina.
Okay, so what do you think the biggest need right now, if you could pick like three biggest issues or topics that you want people that are watching to know that maybe the average person hasn't heard of on either mainstream or, what's been out there?
So I can pare it down to two things, Tracy. I'm glad you asked, because number one, the people actually need cash right now. They need cash money to pay their rent, to pay their mortgages, and to pay for cars. They don't have the cash available to them because they've lost their jobs. They've lost everything, and they're so traumatized that now is not the time for them to go get another job. They are in such a fog, a brain fog and trauma that they're stuck. They're in freeze mode. So they need cash help to pay off the bills that are coming in just daily.
What do you think is going to happen those 12 months down the line when donations start dwindling, hotels? I mean, the mayor is already talking about paying people to take people into their house, $375 a month, up to $1,500. Is that even
That's not a solution. That is not a solution. And so the people need cash donations right now. And the most secure places to donate your cash donations would be to churches who are actually getting the money to the people, to the families. And Calvary Chapel, as you know, Calvary Chapel is one of the best places to donate. And the donation site is calvarymaui.org. calvarymaui.org. But other than that, the mayor needs to be held accountable, and there needs to be some transparency, because this is the other main problem. He still hasn't told us where he was that night. We still don't have any accountability for why everyone was off island the day of the fire. We still don't know why the fire happened on 808, which is our area code. Right. We still don't know why any of these epic failures happened one after the other after the other. And without some explanation of those things, why would we trust that he's going to do anything now to help us?
Okay, why do you think the police chief is still the police chief and the coroner till this day?
Exactly. And he was responsible for the massacre in Las Vegas. How are all of these coincidences not being pointed out, and why aren't more people questioning it? As we talked about before, the outsiders are questioning it, and the inside people who are traumatized right now, they don't even have the capacity to question it because they are in such pain and in such grief and so traumatized. They can't even look beyond their immediate situation where they've been devastated. So it's up to us. It's up to the people on the outside who can see the tragedy here, and we have to keep this story going, because over in the mainland, the story is dead. No one's even talking about it anymore because they're all on to already to Israel and the tragedies that are happening there. But as these tragedies continue to unfold everywhere in the world, we are eventually going to be able to connect the dots because they are all connected. These are all events that will eventually add up to the New World Order agenda, and everyone will begin to see it. I hope it happens. I hope we see it before it's too late.
What do you know? A lot of my audience is keen on the smart city or this building back according to this New World Order. What do you know that the average person might not know about how Lahaina is associated with this New World Order?
Exactly. Well, so if you want to read through all the documents, Lahaina's already slated for that type of city. It was slated like that many, many months ago and years ago. There's the Lahaina plan, the Maui plan. You can look through all the planning ordinances that they've already come up with these plans, and that's what it's slated for. But unless you understand how to read every line of these plans, it's kind of legal jargon. It doesn't make sense to ordinary people, and it sounds great. It's like, oh yeah, it's going to be a really nice city where everything's convenient. And so an average person would just think, oh, it sounds good. But if you know what their agenda is and what they're up to, you will own nothing, and we will rent forever. We'll have no equity. We won't be able to leverage anything, and they will control us. They'll control everything from our communication to our money. Every single piece of our life will be controlled.
Okay, so looking at the map of Maui, it's a big piece of land. Lahaina is a small little sliver. In relation to the island, it takes up maybe my fingertip. And Lahaina is one of the most sacred, important, and most valuable parts of the island. Do you think that is a main reason, or is there something else going on that Lahaina was targeted?
So yes, it was the royal seat. As we know, Lahaina was the capital for the royal family, for the royal elite from the Hawaiian kingdom.
Right.
And so King Kamehameha had that as his summer home, and Queen Ka'anumanu also had that as her summer home. So it is a very, very sacred place for the Hawaiian kingdom. So perhaps that's part of what this is all about. But the other thing I wanted to say about Lahaina is that Hurricane Dora could not have been responsible for one little sliver of land being decimated, because all of that shore would have been affected by a hurricane.
Right.
So if you want to say that the hurricane took them out, that's fine if you want to believe that. But I live not very far away, and I didn't even remove my lanai patio furniture because the winds weren't that strong in my neighborhood.
So it was so concentrated,
So concentrated. I don't know how a hurricane can, pick a specific area to create those high winds like that.
Yeah, I have a video coming up proving these things, that certain technologies were targeted. So I've been working on it for a while. So hopefully everyone will see documentation, satellite imagery, and things like that. I didn't want to bring it up unless I had really solid evidence. But someone like you that also has the same mindset, and we've never met before today, and knowing that we're looking at the same information and coming up with the same conclusions, as well as most of the people that watch my channel, except for the haters, but most of my supporters are on the same page. And what do you think can possibly prevent, there's people saying maybe another town in Hawaii might be targeted. Think possibly another fire, or I don't know. What are you afraid of?
Okay, I'm not afraid of anything, and I will say, because I'm a big Jesus lover, so I'm not afraid of anything, and I do think we have Jesus on our side, so that's just my personal perspective. But that's also why we have to keep speaking up and keep standing up for our rights and for our Constitution. We cannot let the devil or the demons or the globalists, whatever you want to call them, the cabal, you can call them all kinds of names, but they cannot step on us, they cannot squash us, because we will always win as long as we stand up. The only way to lose is if we lay down and give up. So we have to keep speaking up and keep standing up for our constitutional rights, our state rights, and keep pushing back against the oligarchs who are trying to take over these islands. And yes, they will keep pushing. They will keep creating these events until they get their way. But if we stand up against them, eventually we will win.
Our spiritual strength and know ourselves. So that brings me up to one of the most common questions and topics that I get, and I do not like talking about it just because it's such a painful topic. But this is probably the most common question is what happened to the missing children, and why are the officials not admitting that there are missing children? They admitted to 3 minors that have been deceased.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I know of 2. I'm not
a 7-year-old, a 14-year-old.
Is there one more?
I think there might have been one more, but
it doesn't add up. The numbers don't add up, and I think you're right, and you're onto something here, and we have to keep digging and keep asking for more transparency. There also there's no accountability for anyone who might have perished in the water, because seriously, some at least 1 or 2 people drowned in the water, and
Right.
no one is accounting for that as well, and the death toll. So clearly, there's suspicious numbers in the death toll, suspicious numbers in the amount missing. Why? We don't know why, but we're not going to stop asking the questions until we get the answers. And the missing children, I don't know how many children are missing. They haven't reported to school, but these families are traumatized. A lot of them still don't even have cell phones or internet.
Right.
So perhaps they're not even able to report back to
missing
school.
child.
So,
Yeah.
and in order to report the missing people, you have to go through a lot of paperwork at the police station, and maybe they aren't,
I wouldn't want to do
no,
that.
maybe they just aren't doing it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But the one thing I do know is that there are no mothers screaming on the internet saying, my child is missing, please help me find my child. And I
Right.
find that also very suspicious. Are they all being censored? Or are they all those videos being wiped off the internet? It's perhaps there are 1,000 mothers saying things like that, and they're just being censored because we know they have the ability to censor anybody's desires. So,
Right. I had a conversation with someone who's also very involved with this, and he brought up a topic. I don't know if I'll ever find proof of this, but he thinks maybe within the paperwork to accept the FEMA assistance, it was agreed upon that you weren't to talk to the media or discuss certain topics. And I did really sense fear, I couldn't pull a camera out and if any of these hubs. Once I told someone that I wanted to talk and I have a YouTube channel, it was like, oh, not interested.
Well, clearly, there's a media blackout. We've even been told. Media blackout. No media is able to go in and film. You can't film the fire zone.
And that's against our First Amendment right.
Absolutely against our rights for journalism and freedom of speech. And we know other journalists who have been taken out, threatened, and removed from the internet because of their coverage of this topic. And that's why there are police stationed every 1,000 yards or so around the burn zone. You can't stop, you can't look, you can't film, you can't ask questions. Why? Why are we being censored and blacked out of this situation? We deserve to know. It's our home. People are hurting. We deserve to help our people who are there. It's absolutely criminal, like some of the activities that they're taking to repress and suppress our freedom of speech.
Yeah, what do you think we should do? Because that is something I think of every day. I have to look at every statement that I put out on my channel because I don't want my channel to be taken offline. It's already been fairly demonetized. So it's made it so hard for anyone except for the mainstream media. There are 2 local reporters that are reporting, Alison Blair and Jeremy Lee. They've been safe so far. Do you know them?
I do. I follow them too, and they've done an excellent job. And they are reporting the truth, so they're getting as much out as they can. We need more of that and more people like them. And one thing I will say, this is why I'm running for office, we need more elected officials into office who will stand up for these rights. Our elected officials are way too liberal, and they are not standing up for our constitutional rights, in my opinion. And so we need a balance of, some conservatives in there in office too. So I am a conservative, and I will stand up for these rights and fight for our freedoms and continue to ask for accountability and transparency.
Yeah, something I want to start discussing more are the small stories about the people in positions, elected officials, Maui County Council, the people, the 9 people that vote on these very important amendments and changes. I've never heard of these people. I wouldn't even have thought that they existed if it weren't for my research. I'm guessing I'm not alone in that a lot of people just don't know that these positions exist, who they are, and what they stand for. Now that I'm looking into it, it's very disturbing. So that is something I want to bring forth, go into the background of these people, who they're associated with. So hopefully when people go out and vote, they'll actually know what they're voting for. So that's something I want to do. Whether someone's going to listen,
I know.
we'll see.
Let's continue that conversation.
I know. I don't vote for my own LA County officials. I don't know one single one. And those people make such huge decisions. And if I can help people be more informed, I would like to do that. but the people have to also want change. And I do think that is where the challenge is. You know, waking everyone up to what's actually going on. I think there's so much trust in the government here. I feel it. When I grew up in Oahu, people just trusted what was said. There was never any questioning. So,
and that's something. Thank you. It's such a small community. Maui is such a small community. We all kind of know everybody, and if you don't, you're hiding under a rock. So we do know our council members, and we do look to them for their vote, and we want them to support the people. Unfortunately, I feel like they are supporting the agenda of the people that got them into office, and a lot of times it's big money, it's big agriculture, it's big development. That's who gave them the money to run for office, and that's why they're in there. They weren't voted in by the people, they were voted in by the people who supported their campaigns.
Money, right. So hopefully I can keep in touch with you more, because you seem to be more aware of these individuals. You know each one, what they stand for. I'm just starting to learn. I know two of them. But I am looking at what they're voting for, and they're voting against the people's interest, and they have no idea. They voted unanimously to sign an amendment telling the homeowners they have to repay FEMA for the cleanup, the detoxifying, the 10-step program or 10-step process to get their land up to code. It's extremely expensive. I don't think a lot of people know that they're going to have to pay the federal government back for what the federal government did to their land. It was a little article in the Hawaii News now.
It's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. So that's a tragedy upon a tragedy. So this is just, a sideshow to a sideshow, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse until people won't have an option to go back onto their own land that they own. They will be forced out eventually because they won't have they're underinsured to begin with. They won't have the resources to clean up the toxic waste and that they'll be required to do, and they won't have the resources to pay back the FEMA. So they will have to leave.
When do the Maui County officials get reelected? Is it the same time? Do you know?
At the same time, yes.
So
in
about a year.
24.
Okay, so
in November 24.
In about a year, these elections will be coming up. It might be one of the most important elections in Maui. If we can get people to really understand the power that these elected officials have, and that every vote will count, because this is not LA, and I will have a feeling a lot of people just don't vote, and especially coming up, it might not even be on their radar. So hopefully I could kind of keep this story going and get more people to the voting booth to vote for the right people.
Please do, please do. And if you live on Maui and if you believe in what we're saying, please stand up and run for office. If you're afraid to run or if you don't know how to run, please contact me. I'm happy to help you. I ran before. It's not that hard. You can do it. We need good, normal people to stand up and run for office. It's not difficult. You can do it. Anyone can do it. We need moms. We need construction workers. We need everybody. Anybody who has an interest in continuing to make Maui a beautiful place to live for everybody, we need you to step up and run for office, please.
So with that, thank you so much for spending time. I'm so glad I found you.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you.
It's so hard to get, people to share their true feelings. So thank you so much. And I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
I want to follow up on what's going on, follow up with your upcoming election. And
thank you.
Do what I can to let people know what's really going on behind the scenes.
Thank you.
Okay.
And can I plug my website?
Of course.
If you'd like to follow me more, vote SheilaWalker.com. Also on social media, Sheila Walker for State Senate on all platforms.
All right. Thank
you, Tracy.
Bye, everyone.